What's up, everybody? This is episode 12.
12.
Yeah!
12.
I don't keep count. I have to go back every episode to see what episodes we're on, so that way when I post it on YouTube, I have the right number. Because I don't.
Yeah, and when
don't
I do
keep
the
track.
graphics, I look at last week's graphic to see which one the next one is.
Right? I'm like, is this 11? I'm always close. I'm like, man, is this 10 or 11? We can't be 12. So now I'm like, okay, is it 11 or 12? Because it can't be 13. And then when you
Oh
said
shit.
12, I said 12.
I forgot to tell you this last week when I was uploading the thumbnail onto YouTube. I actually had put episode 12.
Oh,
So
wow.
I had to go back, re-edit. I got rid of the thumbnail, went back, re-edited the thumbnail, re-exported everything back into the file format I needed, and then had to re-upload it.
Holy
Yeah, I had all of our graphics saying episode 12.
Nice. Perfect. Hello, everybody tuning in. I'm SoCal Honey Badger, and this is Ryan Stone for Play Fighting.
What's up, everybody?
Right. Episode 12, the big one, too. And, starting off today, so we're not going to touch too much into Dynamite, but there was somewhat of a big announcement, kind sir, if you could explain that for me.
Yeah. I'm actually really happy they announced it. Well, I mean, we're a little over a month out, so I think it's about time. Punk will challenge Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Championship.
My wife.
Whew, I've been waiting for this one. This is one that I'm really stoked on.
My wife is going to be pissed. She hates Punk. I've explained that before. But I think it's only because she hasn't seen heel Punk. And let's be honest, we were just talking about this before we went live, right?
Yes.
About the matchup. So let's just head right into it. You're saying that it's time. The belt needs to go to Punk.
Oh, as soon as the announcement happened, I looked at my wife and I said, "You excited that you're going to see CM Punk win the world title in person?" But here's the thing, and this is why I said it. Can you name or tell me why Vegas is a big place for Punk?
Isn't that where he won the Ring of Honor title, the Summer of Punk?
No. This is where he dropped the pipe bomb.
Oh, yeah, because Summer of Punk was in Washington or some shit, right?
I forget where the whole Ring of Honors. I wasn't watching Ring of Honor at the time. That was all. I think it was still at DVDs, and I couldn't afford DVDs then. So I didn't watch much of the Summer of Punk. I got to see his final weekend with Ring of Honor. I've gone back and seen clips, but I didn't get to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, heel Punk. Your wife's gonna love heel Punk. I think heel Punk is probably his best character. He's a good babyface. Don't get me wrong.
I think he's an awful babyface. I think he's one of the worst baby faces ever. I think the only reason why he gets any kind of babyface pops is because people respect that he's such a good heel.
Sure.
It's the same shit with MJF. Everybody fucking cheers for MJF because it's like, God damn it. Like, when that little fucking bastard comes out and he's like a snooty fucking hedge fund, trust fund baby Jew, you're just like, fuck this slimy motherfucker. And, you're like, damn it, but this is wrestling. So that means he's really good. Yeah, get him, MJF. And it's like, all right, we've now meted ourselves into fucking irrelevance.
I would agree with you. I think a lot of people cheer for Punk because they enjoy his work. They enjoy his body of work, I should say.
He's got such a punchable face, dude. He looks like such a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? He's just a natural heel. And I'm not saying he is a piece of shit, but you look at him and you hear him talk, and his just, even when he's not a heel, he's so fucking condescending.
He's got that voice, yes. I'll give you that. But I still enjoyed his babyface runs. You know, when he won the WWE title and held it for whatever those 400 whatever days. The perfect thing is they should have made him hold it for exactly 420. That would have been pretty, nice little tongue-in-cheek thing at Punk. But when he was that run, he was all babyface for a good portion of that. I know he turned heel about, 60, 70% through. Um, but he was the top man. He was doing the biggest merch. He was wrestling on the most
Yeah,
main
but a
events,
lot of
if I remember right.
that was a lot built on the back of his heel work right before then.
The pipe bomb.
Yeah.
That was a complete heel promo. John Cena, as you lay there, as uncomfortable as I hope you are, that was a total heel promo. Beautiful heel promo.
But yeah,
I
like
honestly think it's probably the biggest thing he's ever done is the pipe bomb. Winning titles, wrestling at WrestleMania. I think the biggest thing Punk ever did was the pipe bomb. It got him the most notoriety. It launched him into stardom. He was on ESPN all of a sudden. Nobody gave a shit about Punk before that. I'm mainstream. But that pipe bomb, I mean, I sat there looking, and it was funny. My wife and I just happened to be in Vegas, so we got to go to see. We were at the pipe bomb. We just happened to be in Vegas because that's where we got married. It was a few weeks before we got married, and we were there. My wife was doing like a hair and makeup test, and so we knew WWE was coming to town. I had a friend who worked there at the time, and he got us tickets. Didn't even ask. It was very cool. But yeah, we were sitting there, and I just looked at her. I was like, whoa. I mean, I know if it was a work, they would have cut him way earlier. But that pipe bomb, I was like,
see,
that
but I
was
think the pipe
something.
bomb was a work, man.
It was a work. It totally was.
Like
We all know that. Yeah.
yeah.
No, he was just told his words were they handed me a mic and said air your grievances. Um, but you notice they cut him off when he was about to talk about their Be a Star program. About don't be a bully, be a star.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to bet it's going to be about how he got bullied by the upper management there. Um, but still, if it was a total shoot, they would have cut him off 2 minutes in. As soon as he started going personal, it would have gotten cut off. But I looked at her, I was like, man, this has got something. There's something here. Like I said, I think it's a work. I think it's planned. But I was like, but that came off really, really real.
Oh yeah.
Like it was well done, and that's why I said it was. I think that's the biggest thing he's ever done.
Yeah, I mean, until he wins the AEW title, according to you.
No, I'm ready. I want him to win the AEW title, but it won't be bigger than that pipe bomb. That pipe bomb. He might get a mention somewhere else, but that pipe bomb was mentioned everywhere the next day.
See, I just can't see Punk winning the belt. And the reason for that is just because a lot of people have been saying Hangman's title run has been the most disappointing, right? That the lead up was dope, and now that he's got the belt, it's pretty weak, and people are excited for Punk to get the belt back, right?
And I agree and disagree.
Well, okay, so how? Explain that. Because that was come see, come saw, motherfucker.
So, yes, I agree. That buildup was fantastic for Hangman. Hangman had, I mean, come on. Cowboy shit was chanted everywhere. Every arena they went through, people were going bananas. I still go back and I watched that 10-man tag where it was Hangman and the Dark Order against the Elite. Oh my God. Hangman was just king shit at that moment. I felt when he got pinned and lost it, the air got sucked out of the room because it happened to me. I ended up going to All Out, and I had bought my tickets prior to knowing any matches. I think the show was in September, and I think I bought my tickets in like May or June. I can't remember when they went on sale. And there were no matches announced, but I knew in my head this is going to be Hangman and Kenny, and Hangman's getting the title. I was deflated when he lost because that was like 3-4 weeks out of All Out. And I knew that's it. I'm not getting Hangman and Kenny. Now, I didn't know it was because he was going to have a kid and all that. So absolutely great. I think he made the right choice to go be with his family. But yeah, that buildup was crazy. He wins the title. And I just think his booking, God, it was just too white meat babyface. This was Hangman. This was a guy that went into a drinking problem because of Kenny and the Bucks. and what his friends were becoming, and the fact that he wasn't living up to his own potential. He had a drinking problem. Like if you go back and watch when Kenny and him won the tag titles during the Jericho Cruise, he grabs a beer and just walks out like, "Hey, I'm out." Grabs it from the fans too. I was like, "I'm out." I'm pretty sure he got crowd surfed too. Um, and then it's like he wins the title and he's just like over it. Like that's it. He's just normal Hangman, happy-go-lucky Adam Page. I'm the world champion. I felt that was kind of lackluster. His matches always delivered, in my opinion. But God, the character work,
Well,
I wasn't in on it.
I think the problem is that you can't have a hero without a villain. That's why every promotion runs a heel champ, because you can have a villain without heroes. Because the villain stops being the villain when they lose to the hero. So you have a villain until then. You can't have a hero without villains. That's why WWF was called the Monster Factory. We create monsters and feed them to Hogan, right?
Exactly.
Hangman hasn't had a villain. We kind of expected a program with Kenny, but Kenny's too hurt, so he took time off, right? But like it was a one and done. We expected a big, huge, epic blood feud. What we got was a 5-star match, and then that was it. And so Hangman's been running around directionless because he doesn't have an enemy. He doesn't have a villain. We knew Lance Archer was a fucking monster of the week. And who did he fight after that? Exactly. Oh, Adam Cole, right? Was that Adam Cole after Lance Archer?
I don't recall.
I know he had like a Dante Martin match on like Dynamite or something. Like he had a couple of those.
That
matches.
was awesome.
Yeah, he had a couple of those like really good Dynamite matches. But I think he went from Lance Archer to Adam Cole, and Adam Cole has just not been a good villain for Hangman. And so, like, I think Hangman's run hasn't been bad because I don't want to judge it until it's over.
I don't think,
and Hangman needs a villain, and that's why I think that CM Punk isn't going to win the belt.
So he had, he beat Kenny. He beat Kenny for the title at Full Gear. Then about a month later, he wrestled the 60-minute time limit draw, and then he did the other match. I believe that was New York, when they did no, that was Kenny and Bryan. Then they did the rematch where he beat Bryan. Next title match was Archer, where he won. Then Cole, then Dante Martin, and then Cole again.
Okay. So, he just hasn't had a good villain, right? And that's why I think that Punk's not going to win the belt, right? Here's my fantasy booking, okay?
Okay, let me hear it.
Hangman, right? What he needs is a fucking big win. If he beats CM Punk, he is solidified as the fucking champ, right? Like, there's no bigger opponent to beat. And we want heel Punk. Okay? Nobody wants happy, fucking smiling, fucking love fest, good guy CM Punk with the belt. Nobody wants that shit. We want bad guy Punk. So hear me out. Hangman beats Punk on pay-per-view. We get the cool 5-star classic of babyface Hangman beating babyface Punk to solidify himself as the true best in the world and the legit AEW champion. Then Punk gets all salty, and he's a little bitch because he's Punk, and he's a salty little bitch, and he turns heel. And then he fucking gets a rematch through shenanigans or whatever because he's Punk and he's a whiny bitch. Even have him coming out. You could have him come out on Dynamite and be like, Tony Khan, I want a title, man. Just be real whiny, right? Punk, when he's a heel, he can be real fucking whiny.
I think that would be a pretty cool turn to have Punk start acting as this entitled legend, veteran, whatever.
Right?
You give me my title match. Why? You haven't earned it. You're not in the top 5. CM Punk. Why? I deserved a title match the moment I walked in here. Things
even
like
have
that.
Hangman win with like a small package or some kind of shenanigan, right? Like a total robbery fucking win. Not a tap out or like no finishing move, just like, like he rolled him up, And then Punk is like mad and turns heel and fucking screws Hangman and gets the belt and becomes the heel champ that everybody wants Punk to be, and now we have Hangman chasing CM Punk. Because Hangman chasing Kenny didn't lead to anything, right? He just beat Kenny and then it was over, right? So now Hangman chasing Punk, when he eventually beats Punk, guess who's back? Kenny fucking Omega. And
Okay.
now we have the legendary ending to the legendary title run. And on that moment will I judge Hangman's title run.
Interesting. Okay.
But if all that goes
Well,
down like that, you can't tell me that wouldn't be a good ass title run. I
I'd
mean,
be
he'd,
cool
he'd
with
be a
that.
2-time champ at the end of the run, obviously.
Sure.
But, and then that would make
I-
Kenny a 2-time champ too.
I would be cool with that. I think, because if you could, shit, you could even do it at Double or Nothing. Have Punk turn during the match and win the belt. Maybe try to get your NWO moment where people, flood the ring with trash and shit.
No,
Um,
I see Punk doing. I see them doing that on TV. See, they like to do. Look at how they book pay-per-views. They always book them clean as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And they want a clean finish and a clean win. End of the storyline. Okay.
As it should be at pay-per-views, in my opinion.
Fuckery happens on TV. And usually that means title changes, screw jobs, and heel turns.
Okay.
So they have the pay-per-view. We get a clean finish, 5-star classic, just like we're hoping. Then we have the next Dynamite heel turn. Then we have the Dynamite after that, set up the fucking match. Then the Dynamite after that is probably a Super Dynamite, right? Dynamite at the beach or whatever the fuck, right? The Great American Dynamite, right?
They're doing Dynamite at the Inglewood Forum in Los Angeles. I want to say the week or two after Double or Nothing. I think it's the Wednesday after Double or Nothing is Inglewood, California. And then they do a live Rampage that Friday from Ontario, California.
Yeah, okay, so then there you go. Super Dynamite, CM Punk, now a heel, screw job finish, gets the belt as a heel, right? Because the last time they did a screw job finish for the belt was Kenny's heel turn.
Yeah.
They don't have heels outright win. They have baby faces turn heel to win.
I like it, though.
Right? And that'll give us our heel Punk with our heel belt on TV, popping the ratings.
And if you do it by the way you're talking, Summer of Punk.
Summer of Punk. And
then it all out. You can have Punk drop it back to Hangman.
Back to Hangman, right? And then at All Out, he drops it back to Hangman. Guess what's our big return? Or actually, yeah.
Holy
what's
shit,
our big
that would
return?
be pretty cool.
Kenny Omega.
Hangman wins the title back. All of a sudden, Kenny Omega's music
back,
hits.
And then it's like,
that'd be
man,
pretty cool.
Dude,
that'd be pretty
I'm
cool.
telling you,
Not
this
gonna
shit
lie.
books itself. This shit books itself.
I still have a hunch Punk's going to win the title at Double or Nothing.
Because you know what, dude? You don't need a long Punk reign.
No, and it shouldn't be.
He
doesn't need it. He's 40-something years old. He is a made man. What Punk does now is make other people.
When you think about Punk and the world title, Punk is not there to use the world title to be a world champ. He's there to add prestige to it. To say this is a belt that Punk once held. That's why Jericho was first. That's why Moxley was second. And that's why Kenny Omega was third. They didn't try to build a champ until Hangman Adam Page. Everybody else was someone else's world champ beforehand to say, hey, this is a legit world champion. Look at our lineage. All legit world championship wrestlers. So, Hangman being the only one. And Hangman was a Ring of Honor champ, right?
Nope.
Oh, no.
I think the only title he won Ring
title?
of Honor, if it wasn't the TV, I know he had the World Television, not the World Television, the 6-man tag team title. I believe he held that with the Bucks because they were calling themselves the Hung Bucks at the time. I found that to be quite funny.
Right.
But yeah, they. I'll have it in just a second.
But so, I mean, Punk winning the belt is not to get Punk over and make him the
6-man tag titles. That's it.
That's it? Oh, okay. Yep. So, yeah, Hangman's the first guy they've tried to make a champion. And Punk.
Yes, and that was the plan.
Well, the thing
Tony
is,
Tony Khan came out and said the first 4 champions I planned ahead of time, and they went exactly how I planned.
See, man, and that's what I'm saying, dude. I think that's what they're going to do. They're building up to Punk turning heel, stealing the belt from Hangman. And then that's it, dude. And they like to do title changes on TV. They love that more than look at every title change except one, right? Wasn't Moxley's the only one that was on pay-per-view?
Jericho won the title at their
their initial show.
No, he won it at All Out, I want to say, because their
well,
first show was Double or
pay-per-view.
Nothing.
But
Yeah,
he
Double or
won it
Nothing was
before
actually
they
the first
had
pay-per-view.
Dynamite. Because they went
Yes, it was about a
Dynamite.
month before they went into Dynamite, which would have been
That's
All
what I'm
Out.
saying is they didn't have TV when Jericho won it.
No,
he had to
no,
have
they
won
started. I believe they started
But
TV with Jericho as world
Moxley
champion.
won it on a Dynamite too, didn't he?
No, Moxley won it at Revolution 2020.
Oh, that's right. So then Kenny
and then Kenny won it on Dynamite at Winter is Coming 2020. So yeah, Mox held it from like February to December of 2020.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? So yeah, Kenny's the only one they've done on TV. Every other title though changes on TV all the fucking time.
Tag titles changed on television. On TNT title changes on television.
I think
I'm gonna be honest, I love that TNT title changes on television. I think that's the title that should change on television. It's the TV title. Exactly.
I just think it sucks that it never changes hands on TNT anymore. Unless they have a battle of the belts.
I think the TNT title should only be defended on Rampage and defend Jade's on Dynamite. The TBS and TNT title. You know what? They're owned by the same people, so you can go back and forth. It'd be like WWE having the Fox title defended on USA. It'd be weird.
Well,
but,
I mean, WWE does have the Universal title defended on Raw and SmackDown. Like they had, someone stole the belt, and now he brought it on the other show. Well, now there's only one belt. Right.
They're still carrying two. They haven't unified it fully yet.
Oh, okay. But I mean, do you think they're going to unify that belt?
I hope they do.
I hope
they do, but I don't think if they do, it's not going to be for very long.
I don't want them to do it.
After they unified it for Randy and Cena, I think unified it in like 2013. That lasted for a couple of years until they brought out the Universal title at that SummerSlam where Finn Balor won it.
Yeah, I don't see them unless they're going to end the brand split, I don't see them actually unifying the titles. I just think that they've kind of booked themselves into a corner now because fuck, dude, what are they going to have Roman lose twice? Whoever beats Roman second is going to be the second place champ.
Honestly, literally. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be a combined effort for a minute, and then they'll go to one belt. Maybe they'll keep it at two. I have no idea.
I think if he loses any belt last, it would be the Universal title. If they don't unify, he's gonna hold that Universal title to build because that title has never had a champion for multiple years until Roman. So they're going to let him hold that one until they're ready to get that one off of him and end his streak. He's going to hold that. He'll drop if they're not going to unify, he'll drop the WWE title first.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, he's what, 100 and something days from 2 years?
I want him, honestly, I don't want them to unify the belts unless they're ending the brand split. Otherwise,
and they won't.
If they end the brand split, then I want Roman to stay the champ.
If they end the brand split, they need to fire half their people.
Well, I mean, they still have to book enough people for 2 shows.
Right, but with a brand split, that's why it works because they have so many bodies. So maybe not half, maybe a third of their people they would need to, or a third, 25 to 33% of their people.
My thing is, I just can't see Roman doing double the workload for too long.
Oh, he won't.
He won't.
I mean, he's hardly even on. He's not even on Raw, really. Like this past Raw, I don't think he was. But the cool thing is, they've got the Usos now. They're going after RK Bro to unify the tag belts.
I wonder if they're gonna do a thing where Roman's like a Brock champ, where he's now the Intercontinental and U.S. titles are the main event belts, and Roman pulls a Brock Lesnar and shows up once every 3 months to just destroy a monster. Because you know what, doing that would keep Roman interesting because you'd hardly see him. And it would kind of pad the stats, right? Kind of like Bruno Sammartino held the belt for fucking 10 years, but he defended it, 5 times? It's yeah, okay, he held the belt for fucking 10 years. He defended it once a year, But the thing is, they could do that if Roman is the unified champ and he comes in and defends it once every 3 months. and they keep him kind of held away. They already experimented on that with Brock Lesnar, and I think that's what they're trying to do. Is they did that experiment with Brock Lesnar, and it kind of worked. He stayed over. The hardcore fans got annoyed that a part-timer was the champ, but the casual fans chanted Suplex City every fucking time he came out, and he sold a whole fuck ton of shirts. So
I gave no shits that Brock was a part-timer. I love Brock Lesnar. He's
Yeah.
he's one of my favorites on their shows.
So what I'm saying is it worked. A part-time champ worked. And if anybody deserves a part-time schedule, I wouldn't argue with Roman getting it. Like, even if I worked at WWE and they said, yo, Roman's going part-time, I'd be like, you know what? Looking at how much he has worked for them, I could concede that.
I don't think it'll ever be part-time, but I could see them not having him on TV every week, which I think is actually a really good thing. That's one of the things that WWE I don't think does right is they overexpose people. They've got main event, and I forget the other show. I don't know if they tape another show before SmackDown or whatever it was. But they've got those shows. Utilize those at a better. Like AEW puts a lot of people on Dark, but you don't see them on Dynamite every week. Are there people that are more relegated to Dark? Yes, but the people that are main on Dynamite, you might see them on Dark every now and again, or maybe even just to keep them off TV for a couple of weeks. But you still could watch their matches weekly on YouTube.
Thing is, dude, that's bullshit. Hold on. People say that people in AEW get relegated to Dark, and that's bullshit. Nobody gets relegated to Dark
bullshit.
Because they cycle them, man. Like, Powerhouse Hobbs is on Dark for like 3 months, and then he's on fucking every episode of Dynamite for 3 months, right? Like, we're not seeing anything from Matt Sydal because he's over there doing shit in Ring of Honor.
He's hurt too.
Well, yeah, but I mean, for a while they were kind of doing stuff with Ring of Honor, and then when he's done with that, they're going to bring him back. They cycle people. No one like Ruby Riott is over on Dark right now. They're going to start bringing her back up because the Owen Hart tournament. They keep they keep the wrestlers fresh by keeping the Dark as a territory. And so when people say, oh, they're relegated to Dark, and it's like, no, dude, they're warming them back up. They're taking them off TV, cooling them down, give them a week off, and then we put them on Dark to warm them back up, and then there you go. They're good for Dynamite.
And the fact that they use the win-loss record so well, and they use it as points of things like the Gun Club won like 50 fucking matches as a trios team before they finally lost. Or whatever the amount was. But that, it made them feel important. Well, why should you be facing... who do they face? The Blackpool Combat Club? Why should you be facing the Blackpool Combat Club as a trios? You've been on Dark. Oh, you've got like 30 wins as a team? Okay. Yeah, I like that they do that. And that's one thing I like about the Dark and such. But that's where WWE needs to reutilize main event. And instead of making it
to do that though with NXT now that the War Raiders are in or War Machine, they're always going to be War Machine to me. Can we just call them War? No, can we just call them War Machine? Like that's a
War Machine was their Ring of Honor name. I liked the War Raiders. I thought that was cool, but
I like
whatever.
War Machine better. They're always going to be.
I like War Machine better. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So War Machine is on NXT, and it seems like that's what WWE's starting to do now, which is something they should have fucking. Dude, I do that shit on my universe mode, right? Somebody I fucking pull him off, right? Okay, you feuded with Razor Ramon, but I don't want to take the belt off him, so I'll pull him off for a couple of weeks, and then have him debut in NXT, fuck around in there, and then I can bring him back and refresh his feud with Razor Ramon, and it's not boring anymore, right? And I'm like, I do this shit with my fucking video game. Like, why doesn't WWE do that? And then now they're doing that. They did it with Mandy Rose. They did it with Dolph Ziggler, Charlotte Flair. Like, the list goes on. And so, like, yeah.
But is going to NXT a demotion?
I don't see it as that. Actually, you know what? Fuck that. That segues into our next fucking topic. That actually perfectly segues us here. Actually, okay, so here's the deal, okay. I was enjoying copious narcotic amounts or copious amounts of narcotics, right? I was enjoying the Wheezy for Sheezy, and with a lemon squeezy, and I had thought, man, like with Samoa Joe, now he's in AEW, and now now he's in Ring of Honor. They really brought him over for Ring of Honor. What is he, the TV champ there? I think that's pretty much where they're going to be using him, and that's cool, right? Samoa Joe, if Samoa Joe retires in Ring of Honor, I think that's perfect. But that's not the point. The point is, I was like, man, it kind of sucks that Samoa Joe has to be on that list with like Ted DiBiase, Jake the Snake, Razor Ramon. Like, he's going to be one of those dudes that it's like, man, he was so good, but he was never world champ. And then I got to thinking, wait a minute. Dude, he was NXT champ. And if I watch anything out of WWE and gave a fuck about, back when Samoa Joe was there, it was NXT. Like, I didn't even watch main roster. I only watched NXT.
I remember that. You and I would have conversations about NXT because you never watched Raw SmackDown.
Yeah, so in my opinion, he was a WWE champ. I mean, fuck it, there is no WWE champ. They've had 2 fucking champs for at least as long as they fucking have had WCW. They'll have moments where it's unified for a couple years, but it always splits back into 2. So they've always had multiple world champions, even when they had an ECW champion. And the ECW title was considered a world title.
They didn't call it a world title.
They did.
They called it the ECW Championship.
But a lot of people
that stopped being called the ECW World Championship after ECW closed. When they brought it back, it was just the ECW Championship.
But people
maybe that one you can classify as a world champ.
Because a lot
I'm
of people
be honest, I don't.
They consider Matt Hardy's run, Christian's run, and CM Punk's run, and John Morrison's runs as main event title, world title runs. And those were ECW runs. WWE sits there and calls Matt Hardy a former world champion. He never held the WWE title, and he never held the Universal title. He held 1 belt, the ECW title.
Okay.
And WWE recognizes Matt as a former world champion, right?
They do.
So they've
had Samoa Joe.
Yeah, but here's the deal, dude. I consider the NXT a world championship. And the reason why, okay, here are my criteria for a world title. Does it count? Okay? And this is something that I argued for ECW back in the day, okay? Does that world champion, call themselves a world champion, right? First and foremost, okay? Because a lot of people call it, like the FTW title doesn't call themselves a world champion. Even though FTW isn't considered a mid-card belt, it's supposed to be considered a backlash to the world title, like the the world title, exactly.
Yes.
Right? But does the world champion consider themselves a world champion? Do they defend the belt internationally, right, around the world? This was a criteria that Bret Hart gave. Bret Hart said when he was world champion, he said no. And when I was world champion, unlike other world champions, I was a true world champion because I defended the WWF title in Japan internationally against a top contender from Japan. Now, I get that that's Mark shit, right? I get that that's kayfabe, but it is Bret Hart selling the world title, saying, no, I was a world champion. I defended the title around the world. I
disagree with that logic.
So that's one criteria right there, right? Did they defend it internationally? Second criteria, did they fight top-level opponents? Okay, because a world champion fighting a bunch of scrubs, nobody fucking cares. The reason why Ric Flair was recognized as a world champion, even though he was a shit heel, was because even though he always cheated to beat Ricky Steamboat and Sting and all the Barry Windham, right? He still fought Ricky Steamboat to a 1-hour fucking draw covered in blood. He still fought, and he still did get legit wins against, Dusty Rhodes, Terry Funk. He beat legit world champions. So even though he was a shit heel and a coward who needs to get his ass kicked by a real man, he was still respected and understood as a world champion because of the people that he beat. That is criteria number 2. Criteria number 3, did they draw money? Okay, now we're stepping outside of kayfabe, and as a booker, as a promoter, would I want that guy to be the face of my promotion, and are they going to bring in money? And I feel like the NXT title during the black and gold era, the era when Samoa Joe held that belt, could be, and to not so much to this day, but even though WWE tries to consider it to this day, because now WWE's like, oh, people think it's a world title. Now we have another world title, except now they don't treat it like one. But back then they treated it like one. And so I would say at that time, the NXT title fit those criteria, and specifically the champions fit that criteria, starting at least with Neville. You could make arguments past that. Maybe Bo Dallas, Big E, those were kind of gimmicky, kind of stupid runs. But when Neville won it, he fucking defended it around the world against world-class opponents, right? He defended that shit against RVD, literally a world champion, former world champion, right?
Absolutely.
So it wasn't just that he was beating people on NXT. He fought world-class opponents of world championship caliber. NXT was touring at the time. They didn't tour around the world too much, but he did fight around, right? And fucking even Finn Balor and Samoa Joe had a title swap in the UK, right?
No, that was Finn Balor. They might have, but Finn
Not
Balor
the point.
actually.
The NXT title was defended in the UK.
Sure.
And
sure.
they had a
and Finn Balor actually, I believe, won the title for the first time off of Kevin Owens in Japan.
There you go. So it's a title that was defended by top-tier talent, right? Look who has held it. Shinsuke Nakamura, former New Japan world champion. Okay, who were some of the defenses? Rob Van Dam, former world champion. So the belt has lineage. And then, again, final criteria. Okay, you told me when they picked up Samoa Joe, what was the biggest thing that was notable about Samoa Joe first signing to NXT? His T-shirts sold out the next day.
That's true. I think they sold out that night.
He drew money. It was a title that was defended, and Samoa Joe was one of those who defended that title internationally.
Absolutely did.
And it was against top caliber opponents who are considered world championship caliber because they held world champions. So I say the NXT title, at least from when Neville won it until Tommaso Ciampa dropped it finally to Braun Breaker, or you could even say until Samoa Joe's finally dropped it and relinquished it. Samoa Joe being the last NXT champion. From that era, from Neville until Samoa Joe retiring the belt, I think you could say that WWE treated it as a world title. And so in my mind, Samoa Joe does not belong on the list with Jake the Snake and Ted DiBiase and Mr. Perfect and all the Scott Hall, all the greats that never won the belt. They did. Samoa Joe was a traveling world champion for WWE that drew money.
I can't argue with your logic, but I disagree with you.
Okay, so then what is the argument? Like, can you even try?
Oh, I absolutely can. Here's why I don't consider it a world championship. It's a developmental brand. It's never been a world. Yes, they've gone around the world. But this was all to get these people exposure. It wasn't until they went on USA Network that people were starting to go, oh, it's the third brand. It's the third brand. But let's be honest. They didn't always treat it like the third brand. They treated it like a lesser brand. Because they weren't drawing the 2 million viewers a week.
What? NXT treated themselves as the third
They did.
brand.
Here's even more. Do you know how many world championships Charlotte has won?
No fucking clue. It's like 12 or some shit, right?
13.
Oh, okay. So she's one away.
She's 13-time world champion.
Oh, wait. No. Is Ric Flair, isn't he more than 14-time champ?
I forget what his is. But here's the thing. She's won it 15 times, if you include the NXT title. WWE does not.
I thought they did.
They don't call her the... They didn't recognize that as a world championship. She is a 13-time world champion and a 2-time NXT champion.
Here's the deal,
That's
though.
That's how WWE classifies it.
But you know what? No, because WWE doesn't classify the New Japan title as a world title. But fuck that. The people do.
But that's not their title. They don't have to classify it. It's not under their umbrella. And to be quite honest, New Japan didn't even call their title the world title until last year.
Yeah, but I'm saying
or
NXT
until whenever that
NXT operated as a
combo
an independent.
happened.
No, they operated as their own independent entity that recognized themselves as a world title. So I'm saying that, dude,
the owner of the company does not. And I'll go back to this. Like, I hate when I go see independent shows and they call their title the world title. Because I do agree with you. A world championship is classified when you've defended that title internationally. I was at an indie show. It was the WrestleCon Super Show in Dallas of back in 2016. I want to say it was whenever WrestleMania 32 was out there. Yeah, it was 32. That was 16. And the match was Will Ospreay versus Marty Scurll for the Progress title. After that match, they classified it the Progress World Championship because it has now been defended internationally. PWG started calling their title the world title after it was defended in Japan. I hate when I see like local indies call themselves the world title because it's not a world title.
Yeah.
When I ran New Wave Pro Wrestling, it was the New Wave Pro Wrestling champion. Not world champion, maybe a heavyweight champion I'll put in there, but even the New Japan IWGP heavyweight champion. That was the name of the title until they combined the Intercontinental and the heavyweight, then it became the world title.
Yeah, but IWGP kind of meant
NXT.
It's International
NXT
Wrestling Grand Prix, dude. That's kind of in the name world title.
I'll give you that, but they didn't call it the World Heavyweight Championship.
No, but it's the international champion. He is the champion of every nation. Like, okay, so he's not the champion of the Indian Ocean.
But I considered it the world title. They probably considered it a world title. They just didn't call it that.
When Kenny Omega and Okada were fighting over it, everyone considered that a world title.
Sure. And even though that title, I don't know if it got defended outside of Japan when that happened, the first one. I just know the first time it was in America was 2019, or that was actually the first time it was changed hands. But within 2017 to 2019, Japan
title was
they defended it in America.
It was defended in other countries besides America.
I think Japan. It was.
It's been defended in China. I know it's been defended.
Oh, like
in
North
South
Korea too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been defended outside of Japan. So even before it defended in America, like the world isn't America. It was defended around the world, just not in America, dude. Nobody defends their fucking title in like Congo. Does that mean that your title is not the world title because there's some pro wrestler in Congo? No, dude. Like, Congo needs to fucking make their own wrestling scene, okay? The rest of us have a world champion, and he'll defend it in the bigger countries like Morocco or Egypt, but yeah.
But I don't think the NXT title's a world title, and I think it should. I absolutely think it should, but it is not because the company who owns the belt doesn't consider it a world championship.
I counter you on that. Vince McMahon's biggest fucking thing, his biggest contribution as far as business goes, is his business philosophy of perception is reality. That's what he built into his entire company. Okay, WrestleMania is the biggest show on the planet because I said it's the biggest show on the planet. And guess what? Because I said it was the biggest show on the planet, now fucking Cyndi Lauper wants to be here. Muhammad Ali wants to be here. 10 years later, Mike Tyson wants to be here. Okay, like, because I said it was the biggest show, it became the biggest show. And so I argue against that because even though Vince McMahon says that it's not a world championship, perception creates reality. And those who perceive it, the fans, say the NXT title, they treat it and act like it's a world title. When people say Adam Cole, dude, they say Adam Cole's a former world champ. Okay, he's only held NXT and Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor is a world championship, absolutely.
Okay, Samoa Joe.
Adam Cole is a former world champion, but he is not. NXT does not fall into that for me.
I think that it doesn't matter what WWE says. The fans and the viewers decide. And most fans that are hardcore fans consider the NXT title more prestigious than any of the main event belts. I couldn't tell you who was the champion during that era.
I think it was absolutely more prestigious than the U.S. and the Intercontinental at that time.
No, I could say more than the world title. I couldn't tell you who won the belt or who flip-flopped the belt, but I could tell you the fucking lineage. I could be like, yo, Finn Balor won that shit from fucking Neville, you know, and then fucking such and such, fucking
Neville went to Sami Zayn to Kevin Owens to Finn Balor,
Samoa Joe,
then
Finn Balor, Nakamura. And then
Nakamura,
Samoa Joe,
then
took
it off Joe
again, and then Nakamura, and then that went to from Nakamura went to Bobby Roode, and then Bobby Roode to Drew McIntyre.
I think back to Nakamura. I think went back to. Didn't it go back to Nakamura?
Nakamura got it back from. He got it back from Samoa Joe, but he only held it twice, right? Because after Drew McIntyre, that went to Andrade, and then from Andrade went to Aleister Black, and then from Aleister Black went to Tommaso Ciampa, right? Like, you can actually go back and fucking talk about people remember the lineage of the NXT title. I couldn't tell you fuck all how many times Dean Ambrose held the WWE title. Because, honestly, I couldn't fucking care. Most people. And nobody even fucking cares. Nobody even recognizes, his run, right? It's just there to pad the stats. That way when they want to hype up Dean Ambrose. Oh, former world champion. Yeah, just don't go on the network and actually see his world title run. Just listen to us tell you he had a title run.
But I still don't. I agree that it should. I agree that it should.
No, I'm saying perception is reality, man. I perceive the NXT title as a world championship, and I think most of the people listening or watching would agree with me. I can't think of anybody that would disagree with me. Samoa Joe's a former world champion in WWE. Yeah, but you got nothing, man. All you got is Vince McMahon.
Don't think it is because they're the
Who
company
agrees
that
with Vince
owns
McMahon?
the top.
Nobody even likes Vince McMahon. Nobody likes him.
Yeah, until you meet
Even
him in
his
person,
own
you'd
son
be fucking
doesn't
on
like
your
him.
knees like, oh my God.
Yeah, because he's rich and I'm not stupid.
Dude, the company that owns the title doesn't consider it a world title. To me, that is enough. And that's the only argument I need.
Dog, Shane McMahon is about to change your narrative because he doesn't get along with his dad. Or
I'd actually love to see Shane McMahon go to control your narrative.
Or Shane McMahon is going to be all elite because he don't get along. Nobody likes Vince McMahon. So his opinion is irrelevant, okay? In Vince
He's the owner of the company.
Dog, in Vince McMahon's opinion, the Great Khali is a fine world champion, okay? That is his opinion. Nobody wanted that to happen but him.
Hey, we all have shitty opinions. Doesn't mean that we're not right in some of them.
Yeah, but his opinion is shitty and it doesn't count and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
The CEO of the company is the only opinion that matters for WWE.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter.
When it comes to writing a scripted program, who is the one person that they have to get the approval from? Vince McMahon.
Because what happened? What happened when Diesel got the belt and was the lowest drawing champion in the history of the company? What the fuck happened? They got a new world champ because the fans would not recognize him. Now they're lucky that right now.
I love Diesel as the world champion. Man, do you know what? That was an awesome time back in the day when we didn't give two flying fucks how many views they had, what the buy rates were, what the house was. I love Diesel as world champion. Then again, we were like what, 12, 11, 10, something like that.
You know what? I just liked Diesel as world champion because if you go back and actually watch those matches back then, you see how awful wrestling was and you see how much better Kevin Nash was than everybody else. Like when you watch actual Monday Night Raw from like 1994 and you see shit like Bastion Booger and Ludwig Borga and it's like, fuck, this is awful. And then Diesel comes out and you're like, that guy was cool. Where the fuck is get him out of here
Big
again?
Daddy cool.
You know, it's easy to talk shit afterwards, but you can't sit there and like judge Diesel and Kevin Nash for his body of work after the fact. You got to look at as the booker, as Vince McMahon, you're looking at your roster and you're like, man, I got Diesel, I got Doink, and I got Ludwig Borga. One of these guys has to be the champ.
I'm telling you, man. But guess what? Diesel was a world champ in WWF. Samoa Joe wasn't.
I think Samoa Joe counts. We could sit here and be at an impasse, but you have proven nothing to me. And I'm pretty sure our comment section's about to
nothing. I've given you the only argument I need.
There's no argument. I'm saying that argument you're saying, dude, it doesn't matter what Vince McMahon recognizes. What matters is what the people recognize. Now, I'm saying that my opinion carries no weight as I come with only one voice.
I'm the president of the goddamn United States. I recognize myself as the ruler of this country.
That's what I'm saying.
How it works?
No, I'm saying once the comment section just comes and cuts you in half, right? Because the people will be behind me. No, they'll be behind me because Samoa Joe's awesome.
Now I do think.
Oh, so you're saying Samoa Joe's not awesome?
No, I think Samoa Joe's fucking amazing.
So you agree that he's awesome?
Absolutely, he's awesome. He
Exactly.
wasn't a WWF World WWE World Champion.
I'm just saying that Samoa Joe is awesome. We can establish that.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh, dude, I loved his NXT run. I felt that was amazing.
Exactly.
And I'm so excited for him as
he had
TV
an awesome run with the belt, right?
He had an awesome run as NXT champion.
He had an awesome run with the belt, and he defended that belt against top-tier competition around the world.
Top-tier competition. Made a lot of money, defended it around the world. But it's not considered a world championship.
No, it doesn't matter what Vince McMahon considers. It matters what the people consider. I'm saying if the people start recognizing Samoa Joe as a former WWE champion, then fucking everybody on fucking WWE is gonna fucking run with that.
He is a former WWE champion. He is. I will give you that. United States.
No, he's a former world champion. Watch, dude. If that hashtag starts trending, right? If that hashtag starts trending and gains traction, WWE would cash in on that, and then they would make that. They would start recognizing it as a world champion. Fuck, they would do that just to get Braun Breaker over, right? They'll recognize. They don't give a shit. It's just something they could market and make money off of, and they'll fucking do it. And you know they will do it, and they'll do it regardless of what Vince McMahon thinks, because what Vince McMahon thinks doesn't actually matter. Boom!
It's the only opinion that matters in that company, man.
There's no hole in that. You can't even puncture that shit. Dude, you can't
the
even...
The only opinion that fucking matters is the guy who runs the motherfucker.
You can't puncture that shit the way...
puncture it?
Right?
Oh.
The way your mans be punction virgins, right? Though, no,
shit.
You cannot there's no hole in that. That is airtight.
No.
That shit,
Bullshit.
That argument is tight like a frog's ass. Point it out. Point me out on the frog's ass where it's not tight.
The company doesn't fucking recognize it. Done.
Dude,
Don't
the
have to
company
say
doesn't even
Charlotte doesn't get
one
called
dude.
a 15-time champion because she hasn't. They don't count
reality.
those two runs.
I bet you if the people started recognizing the NXT title as a world title, the WWE would change their mind.
I hope they do. I hope they do.
I bet you they will. And if they and when they do, right? Because we haven't even hit NXT nostalgia. Right? 10 years out from Black and Gold, people are going to be nostalgic for it. And what is WWE trying to cash
for
out?
It now.
But what are they going to be cashing out? They're in the business of nostalgia. How many times have they been broke-ass old fucking Kane out? Here's Kane.
Oh, God.
He's like 70 and has a fucking... he doesn't move too good, and he's a mayor. But you remember Kane? Yeah, fire and brimstone. Right? They're going to do that
He electrocuted Shane McMahon's testicles.
They're going to do that shit with fucking Finn Balor and Nakamura. They're going to do that shit with fucking... They're going to call in Bo Dallas and be like, hey, you want to do a fucking nostalgia run in NXT?
NXT one night stand.
Right? Like, they're going to fucking have... Like, the only reason why they don't is because the guys are still active, right? Big E was like the third champion or some shit. Like, he's a current main eventer. You know?
Second, I think it went from Seth to Big E to
Bo Dallas,
then to Neville, and then that's when this. I'll give you that. From the point Neville won the title, which I think was the very first takeover, until Samoa Joe relinquished it and they rebranded NXT 2.0, that title was as prestigious as I would say almost any main roster title.
I would say
that was almost as prestigious. I would say the WWE title was still more prestigious, but I would say NXT was beneath it at that moment.
I would say that was the most prestigious title in the world at that time. It lost its shine.
To some people.
But it had more shine because at that time, dude, look at what the WWE title was. It was a bunch of dumbass, goofy, stupid matches with Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt or Jinder Mahal's run. Like, that title wasn't worth a shit until AJ Styles saved the world. Because then AJ won it, and then after that we had Bryan Danielson, and then Kofi. Like, we had pretty good fucking runs after AJ Styles. Sure. But before that, like, literally from like when Bryan Danielson gave up that belt was like pointless. Like, it was like, dude, like, it's not even the best wrestler that's getting the shots, right? Because I looked at the stats. I looked at the stats of Roman Reigns as a heel and a face, right? Because people have been talking shit about him as a baby face. Like, oh, he was crammed down our throats. And it turns out Roman Reigns lost more matches as a baby face than he does as a heel. And people love him as a fucking heel. But nobody fucking cared about him as a babyface, and he so even in kayfabe, he wasn't even a worthy champion because all he did was fucking lose back then. So that world title meant nothing. It was just a useless piece of tin that they were throwing around.
All right, so you're saying from the point that AJ won it. AJ won it in September of 2016.
From Bryan Danielson dropping that belt until AJ winning it, that belt was pointless. When
I will give you that.
In that era, Bryan Danielson dropping that belt, we're talking about the era when Kenny Omega was battling Okada. Okay, we're talking about
that was 14.
Yeah,
that was a little bit sooner than that. Yeah, because I don't think the Okada stuff happened until 16.
That's what
correct.
I'm saying.
That happened during that run.
From when Bryan Danielson dropped that belt,
until AJ won it.
Until AJ won it, it was irrelevant, and most people recognized some other belt. Okay, before the NXT title, people were recognizing the New Japan title.
I'll give you that. Except I think during that point, Seth Rollins won the WWE title at Mania 31, and he was on. I think he was having a fantastic run, and he would have had an even better one had he not gotten hurt.
But that's
like
the thing.
6-7 months into his career.
Dude, nobody's had a good run until Roman Reigns. Literally, there has not been a good run with that either of their fucking belts until Roman Reigns. They've just been giving us flip-flop, shitty fucking runs. Here's your fucking Twitter moment. Oh, look, Kofi won the belt. We're not going to do shit about it. You know, everybody was so excited when Kofi won the belt, not because he was black, but because we were excited that he was going to give us cool matches. What happened?
Oh, dude, I loved Kofi winning it, yeah.
He gave us like 3, and then we're like, oh, okay, he loses in 6 seconds to fucking Brock Lesnar. And it's like, what the fuck? We wanted Kofi. That's the champ.
I know.
You know?
I know. That was pretty rough.
Dude, you know what lightning in a bottle they had with a fucking babyface champion that was over? That does not happen. AEW, literally spent our entire podcast talking about AEW trying to make that happen. Mm-hmm. Dude, they had that shit with Kofi and they shat the bed. Just like they had that shit with Bryan Danielson. Babyface
if Bryan didn't get hurt,
get over.
If Bryan didn't get hurt, I wonder how it would have gone down. But I mean, his first feud was against Kane. Coming off of Mania, his first feud was Kane. In 2014, like, come on. I know they had the tag team, but I was done with that. But again, I still think the WWE title was more prestigious than the NXT title at that time, but not by much. Not by much.
You could say whatever you want, but you can't point to me. You can't even give me the title lineage of that belt at that time.
I absolutely can give you the title lineage of that belt at that time.
Without looking at your computer.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Right? Because I'm not looking at my computer.
Dude, I couldn't give you the title reign.
But dude, we came up with that NXT title lineage offhead.
Yeah, but think about that. That's only been running around since like 2014. You're thinking back, you know, yes, the WWE title probably flip-flopped a lot more than the NXT title then.
What's the lineage from when Neville won the belt? Offhand, who was even WWE champion when Neville won the belt? Go. You can't even tell me who was WWE champion at the time Neville was champion because nobody fucking cared. Okay, Randy Orton.
Without even looking. I'm guessing Randy Orton. I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
because the time frame was, I believe that was early 2014. I think that was like February 2014. Randy and Cena had a whole unifying the titles in the end of 2013, and the build-up for WrestleMania was initially Batista and Orton for the unified titles for Mania 30 in 2014. Yeah. So Randy Orton was the champion.
Okay, and that's what I'm saying. What's the
without looking that shit?
No, but we did the whole NXT lineage from there.
Oh, okay? Sure. So, I can't do the whole WWE lineage, and I haven't been able to do the whole WWE lineage.
That's what I'm saying is
probably since like 96.
You did it for the NXT title. And it wasn't even the whole lineage. It was just that moment.
I couldn't do it. You actually did a lot. I had forgotten about the Bobby Roode. I forgot about Bobby Roode. I didn't think about Drew and Andrade either.
Yeah. That was see, I'm a fucking NXT mark. So to me, that era, the black and gold, that was my world champion. Like, that was the only wrestling I fucking watched. That was the only wrestling I cared about. That was the only wrestling I saw anything about on the internet that anybody ever was ever talking about. If you wanted to go talk about wrestling, you go on Reddit or you go to any forum or anywhere. Go on YouTube, Twitter, Boom. What do you see? You saw people
It was
talking
NXT.
about black and gold. That was it. That
NXT,
was
it was the
all
hottest shit in the world. Well, I can't say the hottest shit in the world. I don't know what their ratings were because they were on the network and they didn't publish them. But absolutely, I thought NXT going to 2 hours was detrimental to them. I thought the hour was absolutely perfect with the size of the roster they had. Going to 2 hours, I think would have overexposed those people. I would have been cool if they just went live every week for an hour. That would have been cool to me. Just
dude.
What's that?
The sad thing is, honestly, I think Adam Cole just wasn't a draw. Because during that era, they strapped the rocket to Adam Cole. Like, from when they went and jumped, Drew McIntyre at TakeOver, right? Adam Cole and Red Dragon made their debut. They jumped Drew McIntyre. And NXT was kind of about Adam Cole from that moment until he left.
For a minute, yeah.
Adam Cole was the main character. He was the Roman Reigns of NXT, and that's the product they put to go head-to-head against AEW. Now, you could make the argument that Adam Cole won the ratings. Like, that was why AEW was worried, was every time Adam Cole was on TV, he was the one spiking the ratings, and they were losing viewers to Adam Cole. But I think Adam Cole kind of showed how small that audience was and how bad of a draw he was, because everybody nobody talks about that era of the black and gold, the Adam Cole era.
Oh, God, I love that era.
I don't know, man. Like, I liked some of it, but
I'll be honest. Okay.
I just don't think
it's true. The first takeover with Neville getting the belt, dude, that era of NXT was fan-fucking-tastic. I mean, you had Neville, then you got Sammy coming in, you had Kevin. Dude, their roster was fucking stacked for a minute. Kenta was there. Then Finn Balor came in. Their roster got stacked quickly. Like, I remember hearing about the NXT house show during WrestleMania 31 weekend, and I was so pissed I didn't go. It was a house show. It wasn't televised. They taped it, but it never aired for WWE. They never aired that. And it was WrestleMania weekend. This was the next year they did TakeOver WrestleMania weekend. That era was so awesome. But once Shinsuke left, so this was probably 2016, they were in a lull. I felt NXT was in a lull after Shinsuke left, after Joe left.
What killed it?
I watched it every week still, but I felt it was a lull. The comeback to me was Ciampa, Gargano, and Undisputed Era, and Malachi Black. Aleister Black.
But see, that's what I was going to say. That was the lull.
Brought NXT even back up higher than it was. Because I remember telling my wife one time, like, I liked that NXT more than I liked the NXT with the Sammy, the Tyler Breeze. That's where you first saw Scott Dawson as a guy who dressed in flannel and I think spit tobacco.
No, but
I liked that NXT, and I thought that was my favorite. The Gargano era, the Cole era, that eclipsed it.
No, but what I'm saying is that was, I think, the era when they started falling off, because where the real disappointment was when Aleister Black got that belt and then got hurt. And then they hot-shotted it onto Tommaso and Gargano. And that feud was already starting to cool off because they had already had like 2 5-star classic matches, right? Mm-hmm. So it was peaked and it was starting to fall apart or fall off. And the whole freshening thing to that feud would have been the title and Aleister Black, but Aleister Black got hurt. And I feel like when that happened...
I forget what that was, because, looking it up, Aleister Black only held the title for like 100 and something days.
Yeah, he didn't hold it very long. He had like one title
like
defense
3 months.
or something. He won it from Andrade. He had like one title defense, and then he dropped it to Ciampa in like a triple threat, and it was pretty quick because he got injured bad, and it was one of those, okay, we'll put him in a triple threat. That's right.
They did that. Didn't they do that whole somebody injured...
Yeah.
So Aleister in the parking lot, and it turned out to be Gargano.
So he didn't have to work, but they could still get the belt off of him. And then he never went back to doing anything. Like, they never recovered from then. That was the beginning of the end. So I would say the beginning of the end was when Aleister Black lost it. And then, then we had the Keith Lee run and all of that. And it got, again,
no, because Black lost it, then Tommaso won it, then Tommaso got... Now, I think if we had that blow off in New York between Gargano and Tommaso, that would have been better. But then they hot shotted Cole into that match and it became Gargano and Cole. Gargano won the belt. The next takeover, it was Gargano and Cole in like 2 out of 3 falls, and that's when Cole won the title and went on that fucking reign. That was one of my favorite eras. I watched religiously. Like I would watch it every week, but I paid attention even more during that run. I enjoyed Black, and I think that was starting the. I think that's to me that started the rise up, in my opinion. I felt like the Andrade was like kind of at the very bottom, but starting to crest upwards. But then Black started going up. But then that Gargano Ciampa feud hit, and fuck, dude, that got me. That feud got me. And you go back to the part where Ciampa turned on him after they lost that tag match. And, then, they're standing at the top. And it's like, and he looks at Johnny and says, that wasn't our moment, but this is my moment. And fucking if Ciampa really didn't, and Ciampa got hurt during that match that they lost. If he didn't get hurt, that feud might have not gone down as well. It was so awesome because he destroyed Johnny and was gone for 9 months. I think that made it even better. But, again, coming back, he wins the world title, NXT title, not world title.
You even said it. Ooh.
I corrected myself. Because I don't think that way.
Correction. I know your father.
But then he's Goldie. They rekindled that feud with Gargano. I wish they got that blow off. Because I even remember, what was it? Gargano had that win. I think it was like a non-title match or something.
But see, I feel like
where he's standing at the top of the ramp, him and Candice. Out comes Ciampa with the crutch and just crushes him. Dude, that was so unexpected. I was like, that's how you end the goddamn pay-per-view? That was so cool. That run was my favorite run of NXT.
Dude, I think they had
the Cole Gargano Ciampa run, or in Undisputed Era.
Honest, the way they ended the Black and Gold going into NXT 2.0, like I kind of feel like I wasn't, because you basically took the biggest stars of Black and Gold, which were what was it? So before that, right? Before that, you had the biggest stars, the last match of Karrion Kross before he lost the belt, okay? Because I consider Samoa Joe the last NXT champion. Karrion Kross had the belt, and he had the whole buildup of, I'm going to solidify myself as the best NXT champion ever, and I'm going to take on everybody. And they had that 5-on-1 or 6-on-1 matchup. It was Kross, Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, and Pete Dunne.
Okay.
Or something like that. It was like fucking everybody. Versus Kross. Kross beat all the big names from NXT Black and Gold, then loses the belt to Samoa Joe, right? And then in the final show of NXT, the final pay-per-view, they had all of the guys from Black and Gold take on the new NXT 2.0 champ, Braun Breaker, with Carmelo Hayes, and like all the NXT 2.0 guys. And then LA Knight, I consider more of a 2.0 guy. He came in at the very end of
Black and Gold,
right?
Yeah. But he was there for a minute. He was there back in the day, but he didn't last very long. He didn't really get on TV much.
But so after they had the whole 5-man match with Karrion Kross, they ended the Adam Cole arc. He had his final blow-off match with Kyle O'Reilly, which was fitting. That was the end of the Undisputed Era. Right, so the Undisputed Era is finally done. It's dead and gone. Adam Cole is gone. Bobby Fish is gone. Kyle O'Reilly is the last remaining piece of that era, right? Not even just the group, the era, but that era of NXT. And then we add Pete Dunne, who was going to be the future of NXT, but now we're going in a new direction, right? But he represented the future that could have been, right? Sure. And then you had LA Knight, who was trying to cling to that, right? He came in at the end of Black and Gold, and he was big on the indie scene during the Black and Gold era. So he was like the last big signing of the Black and Gold. So he was clinging. Would say so. Well, yeah, like they signed other people after him, but like he was.
I think he was a notable signing.
But I'm saying, like, he was one of the last big signings that they made. Sure. The whole big.
Yes.
Oh, he's in the audience at NXT Takeover. He was not the last one. But he was one of, because I think Kushida came after him, right?
I don't remember. I don't
Kushida might have been the last one they did.
Because I'm going to be honest, I fell off NXT after Cole lost the title to Keith Lee.
See,
I fell off.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't watch much of Lee's run. I watched his North American run and then I watched him beat Cole for the NXT title and be the double champ for a minute. I didn't see much of Karrion Kross, and I didn't even see the match where Samoa Joe took the title off of him.
See, but that's what I'm saying. If you look at what happened, right? Okay, so now the Undisputed Era is gone, and you have all these people that represent.
I didn't even see
parts.
that blow off.
You need to go back and watch that because they took the NXT 2.0 guys, the World Champ plus the United States.
Oh no,
champ.
I watched that. That was the that was the
War
Games match,
right? And so when that ended, who left? Right, Gargano left. Okay, Pete Dunne basically got called up within a couple of months. LA Knight is about to get called up. You know, Gargano's gone. Ciampa got called up, right? Kyle O'Reilly's gone. Basically, that match was the end of Black and Gold because all the guys that were Black and Gold.
That was absolutely it. Yep. Yeah. That was symbolic.
And so I think that was the blow-off because that final match, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano had to team up and set aside their differences, and they didn't come out to the old DIY gimmicks, but they came out, especially Gargano coming out to Rebel Heart.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I love
that
They
were
song.
paying homage like, hey, we had a past, but that's over. We have to defend Black and Gold one last time.
Right.
And Black and Gold lost, so they went out into the sunset, but they teamed up and put their troubles aside one last time, not to reform DIY because they still recognized all the shit that happened. But hey, we've got to go out as cowboys in the sunset, dying in the shootout at the OK Corral, and they did. So that's why I'm saying the Gargano-Ciampa feud had a perfect blow-off because the best blow-off wasn't them fighting one last time. It was them being
teaming.
Forced. Because they still didn't like each other. The beef was there, but it showed that they could team up one last time. So it's truly, truly over. Because if it wasn't over, they would have been arguing and fighting during that cage match. But they didn't. They made it work. They showed that old shit was behind them. And so that, to me, is the blow-off. And then they use that to pass the torch to NXT 2.0. And it's moments like that make me think, like, dude, WWE still knows what the fuck they're doing, man.
They absolutely know what the fuck they're doing. I can
shit on them, but, dude, that was such a perfect blow-off. It sucks that Black and Gold is gone. And in my on my universe mode, I'm always going to have Black and Gold. Right, all of my branding, my branding and my fucking stream and everything is Black and Gold, dog. I'm gonna be.
See, I want to run a 2.0 universe just because I think that arena looks pretty sick.
It does.
The one that they dropped on the last update, yeah.
But I just think that Black and Gold.
You know, I loved NXT. Absolutely loved NXT. It was even though I was watching Raw, SmackDown, and NXT every week at the time, NXT was the show I couldn't miss. I watched every takeover live. Couldn't miss it. Couldn't start it late. Had to be there when it started. NXT was my favorite promotion for the longest time. So you wanting it to be a world title, hey, I'm with you. I wish it was. Is my answer to that.
I'm saying
I loved NXT, but I felt once Cole lost that belt, I felt NXT lost steam. And
again,
then the whole change to
2.0. Karrion Kross got hurt and Keith Lee got called up.
Oh god, that sucked.
They called up Keith Lee during his reign, so we never.
And they called up Kross during his reign too.
Yeah, and Kross got hurt, and then Finn Balor had a fucking reign. Oh yeah, right.
Didn't even see a minute of it.
Okay, we'll go back and watch that shit. If you like Finn Balor. Right? Like that was,
I love Finn Balor.
So, but I mean, Finn Balor recovered it, and then he lost the belt to Karrion Kross, and then, NXT Black and Gold had to die. But you know what? I feel like NXT Black and Gold does give us one thing that we have never had in wrestling before.
What's that?
It actually gave us a conclusion like fucking Marvel Endgame.
Interesting. Okay.
Think about it, dude, because Black and Gold is over, and it's
War Games was it.
And it ended. And that last War Games was the last Black and Gold, and it featured the biggest stars of Black and Gold going out and passing the torch, and LA Knight, But again, like they all were symbolic, right? Because again, Pete Dunne was the future that never happened, right? He was the Black and Gold's next big star, but Black and Gold died before he got to be the star.
Yeah.
LA Knight came in at the end. He was the one that clinging on to the old glory. Like, hey, let's not. I just got here. Can we not end this? Right? Like, I literally have heard stories of this. I worked so hard to become a part of it, and now that I'm here, you're going to end it. And then you have Gargano and Ciampa, the greatest feud in NXT history.
Greatest feud in NXT history.
Like Samoa Joe and Finn Balor and Samoa Joe and Nakamura were probably considered the two greatest feuds in NXT history until Gargano Ciampa.
Yeah.
Nothing. And so you
Gargano Ciampa eclipsed everything.
And that was the end.
I'll even say this. I think Bayley and Sasha was number 2.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'm not going to argue with that one. I would have said that Asuka's run, but that's not really a feud. Asuka's run
God, that run was so crit.
That would have been the best angle. If we're talking about angles, Tommaso, versus Johnny is the best angle and feud. But if we're talking about angles, Asuka's run would have been number 2 as the women's world champion of NXT.
Yeah, NXT women's champ.
World champ.
She was awesome.
Of the world. She was Japanese, Trevor. She was Japanese. That's another country than America.
But she won in America.
Is she or is
in their
she
developmental
not
brands?
Are you saying that Japanese people are not developmental?
What? Don't try and cancel me. Listen, motherfucker.
I think that Japanese people are developmented all across the world.
They're absolutely developmented. They're indigenous. I'm indigenous. Whatever that South Park episode was. You don't even know what indigenous means.
Right.
You're being indigenous.
Did you read the Emancipation Proclamation? I'm sorry, sir. I don't like rap music. It is.
Oh God, that takes me so far back hearing that.
Right? We totally are going to go on a black and gold nostalgia rant, and we are.
I think we should.
Anyways.
I think we need to do an entire episode just about black and gold NXT.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that maybe for the next episode. Leave a comment or whatever. But we are out of time.
We're way out of time.
Way out of time. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for stopping by and hanging out with us on Play Fighting. I'm SoCal Honey Badger. You can find me on Twitter, SoCal Honey Badger1, and Twitch, and I got other YouTube channels and shit. There's links. To click the description. You click it. You'll find that it's a good thing to do.
And then when you click it, go to his Twitter profile and tell him to fix the name.
My name is.
You ain't verified. Ain't gonna break nothing. But you can find me on Twitter at RyanStoneSD. Man, this was a fun one, man. I've been jonesing to do this NXT title talk for a good few weeks now. So this was good.
Your wrong ass opinion. Yeah, you could go ahead and follow him
You're
on
fucking
Twitter
wrong.
if you want to hear shit that doesn't matter and nobody believes in. That would be fine. Make sure you comment on his videos and tell him how wrong he is.
Please come tell me how wrong I am, and I'll tell you exactly why I'm right.
Exactly.
I'm right.
Anyways.
I'm right, because it's not an opinion. It's not my opinion. It's not my feeling. It's a fact. That's why I'm
right. All I have is Samoa Joe's a world champion. Thank you very much. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you later, Mr.
See you next week, people.
Ciao.